morning. I'm Maiki Oreta, and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world. We begin on Wall Street as U.S. stocks climb for an 8th straight day, marking their longest rally for the year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 0.6%, while the S&P 500 and the tech-heavy NASDAQ were up by about 1%. The sharp turnaround from the early August sell-off continues as investors are eyeing more hints of a rate cut from the annual economic symposium later this week at Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
And in terms of what he says and doesn't say, I think that there will be a keen ears listening to see if he opens the door to potentially a larger than a 25 basis point cut. Market reaction wise, if we don't see a cut in September, I think it is going to make a lot of market participants, ourselves included, somewhat uneasy, given the fact that no matter where you look, the data is saying that higher rates are having an adverse impact on the US economy, whether you look at the labor market or housing or inflation data. So it will really make us question what the objective of the Fed is and why they can't read the writing on the wall.
Global investment giant Goldman Sachs lowers the odds of the U.S. slipping into a recession over the next 12 months. From an initial 25%, Goldman Sachs cut its probability forecast to 20%. The brokerage firm cites last week's encouraging jobless claims data and retail sales report as the reasons for that adjustment. Goldman Sachs adds that if the upcoming jobs report for August seems, quote, reasonably good, end quote, they'll trim that probability even further down to 15%. Now, earlier this month, the investment giant raised the odds of a U.S. recession after the unemployment rate in the United States jumped to a 3-year high. Shifting to the latest on the U.S. presidential elections, as the fourth day Democratic National Convention kicks off in Chicago today. During this event, President Joe Biden is expected to lead his party mates in cementing support for their candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris. Harris will formally accept the nomination Thursday night, U.S. time. If she wins this election in November, she plans to increase the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. Her campaign officials say that with this move, she aims to put more money into the pockets of the working class, while at the same time ensuring that billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share. As for her Republican rival, former President Donald Trump says that he plans to campaign in battleground states this week. During an interview with Reuters, Trump says that he will consider a tax credit of $7,500 for electric vehicle purchases. He says that he also plans to tap Tesla's CEO Elon Musk for a cabinet or an advisory role. In Italy, British tech entrepreneur Mike Lynch and his 18-year-old daughter are among 6 people reported missing after their luxury yacht capsized and sank off the coast of Sicily. The sailboat, which was carrying 22 people, was anchored near the port of Porticello when it was hit by ferocious weather on Monday. 1 man died while 15 people were rescued. Lynch's wife, who owns the boat, was among those rescued. Lynch is known as Britain's Bill Gates. He had been famously locked in a legal battle since 2011 for selling his company, the UK's biggest software firm, Autonomy, to US tech giant Hewlett-Packard. He was, however, acquitted of fraud by a court in San Francisco. Elsewhere in the world, in Japan, retailer 7&i, the owner of the 7-Eleven convenience store chain, says that they've received a preliminary takeover offer from Canadian rival Alimentation, Couche-Tard. 7&i adds they've formed a special committee to review the proposal. Now, if the deal goes through, this will reportedly be the largest ever buyout of a Japanese firm by an overseas company. This comes as 7&i faces pressure from activist investors to sell off underperforming assets and to double down on its global convenience store business. Back in 2020, 7&i and Couche-Tard were rival bidders to take over U.S. gas station chain Speedway. The Japanese company ended up purchasing it for $21 billion. Still in Japan, Japan's national government, together with their capital of Tokyo, are planning an initial public offering for subway operator Tokyo Metro. The estimated company valuation, 700 billion yen or $4.7 billion. Reuters sources say that the two governments, which fully own the Tokyo Metro, are eyeing to arrange a meeting of brokerages within a week for a briefing. The local officials reportedly expect to receive approval from the Tokyo Stock Exchange as soon as mid-September. Tokyo Metro shares could be listed as early as the end of October. With half the company to be sold, the IPO could raise 350 billion yen or $2.4 billion at that valuation. This could become the largest IPO since the SoftBank Group listed its wireless unit back in 2018. Tokyo Metro runs 195 kilometers and carries 6.5 million passengers daily. On the local front, now Philippine gaming firm Digiplus Interactive is looking to expand into Brazil's potentially huge internet gaming market. The company says they applied for a federal license that will allow them to operate both land-based and online activities like sports betting, electronic games, and live game studios in Brazil. This comes after gaming and betting activities were recently legalized in that country. Digiplus expects to receive its license on or before the end of November. Despite the new venture, the company asserts that the Philippines, however, will still remain as its main market and core focus. We're taking a quick break. Stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back to Basis Points. Let's take a look at the figures at the Philippine Stock Exchange. Now, to help us make sense of these numbers, we have our analyst with us, Alex Yatco. She is an equity analyst at Regina Capital Development Corporation. Hi, Alex. Let's take a look at the opening figures. The rally in the market is broad-based. We're well entrenched in the green at 69.57. For an abbreviated trading week during the ghost month of August, this is a lot of action for us. Yesterday, the PSEi even touched the 6,900 level. Right now, we're well entrenched in that territory. And the conviction was strong as net value turnover came in at nearly 7 billion pesos at 6.91 billion pesos. Now, this is against our year-to-date average value turnover, which is at 4.93 billion pesos. Can you give us some context, put some context into this uptrend?
Hello, good afternoon. So as you can see here, strong corporate earnings and the BSP's recent decision to cut rates to 6.25% has further driven the bullishness we see in the equity market, as lower interest rates result in increased opportunities for businesses to invest in new ventures and result in higher consumer spending as well, with the growth in disposable income working as a stimulus for economic growth as it further encourages consumers to spend in.
Okay, based on the charts, you think, and the market's momentum and all things taken into consideration, do you think the market has the legs, has the momentum to carry on through to 2025?
So given the current historical trends and the current price action movements, we can say that there's potential for the market to continue until 2025. We also have to consider the assumption of Fed rate cuts occurring in September, the peso's current stability, and lack of geopolitical tensions.
Okay, now investors the world over are looking at what's going on at Jackson Hole, Wyoming, the annual economic symposium. Why is this year's symposium particularly important? We expect the markets to really look into detail about what U.S. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is going to say there. Why is this annual symposium of particular importance for markets worldwide?
So as we talk about the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, and it has become an important event, and a lot of economists and analysts are currently monitoring it. So currently they are discussing the potential of reassessing the effectiveness and transmission of the current monetary policy. So it is a global economic event, and it focuses on the current central bankers' presence and also major policy changes that have been signaled during several period since. They focus on the inflation rates that have fallen ever since 2022, and they are also focusing on the potential upcoming federal rate cuts as well in September.
Yeah, expectations are that the U.S. Federal Reserve will decrease interest rates for the first time in a long time this September by about 25 basis points. Here in the Philippines, the BSP, Central Bank's Monetary Board, went ahead of the curve. We cut interest rates last week. The rate cut last week was peso negative, but the rate cut in the Fed over in the U.S. is going to be positive for the peso because it will mean weakness in the U.S. currency, which is good for all of the currencies around the world. Should that rate cut not happen, do you think we'll have enough momentum to move forward at our current trajectory?
If that rate cut does not happen, there is still potential for the current peso to hold on its current status, but it depends on several factors. So in the case that the federal does cut rates, it may lead to an outflow of capital since investors would seek opportunities for higher returns in countries such as the Philippines, which would further increase FDI or foreign direct investment as well. However, if they do not decide to cut the rates, inflationary pressures may also lower in terms of the Philippines as the value for remittances sent of OFWs may maintain or may even increase with less demand for consumer products as well. So the scale of the rate cuts, the current state of the Philippine economy, and how effectively the country can leverage these external influences play a major role in determining the outcome.
Okay, Alex, given our current trajectory, I know you're a technical analyst. Can you give us guidance in terms of the trading range, support and resistance for the PSEi and perhaps the peso?
So right now, the index is currently trading at 6,973.39, and it's established support and resistance. For the support, it's around 6,400 level, and for the resistance, it's around the 700 level. So it is nearing its established resistance level. If it goes beyond it, it would count as a breakout, and would continue its current upward momentum.
Okay, now Alex, talking about interest rates and IPOs, during a period of low interest rates, there's a lot of IPO action in the market. Moving forward, we've got Topline Business Development Corporation. They're preparing for a 3.2 billion peso IPO offering later this year to fuel their expansion plans. They're a firm based in Cebu that's active in commercial fuel trading, depot operations, and retail fuel distribution in the Visayas region. Moving forward, there's also the possibility of GCash doing an IPO. There's also Next Gen Energy Corp, Oceana Gold Philippines, Citicorp Renewable Energy Corporation. Can you talk to us about your expectations given the lower interest rate environment? Do you expect more IPOs in the pipeline? And among them, which ones are you most excited about?
So Topline's IPO is actually an exciting opportunity due to its solid financial performance. Its first half net income surged by approximately 190% year on year, and it currently has strategic expansion plans in the Visayas fuel market. So its current focus on vertical integration and growth in both commercial and retail fuel sectors positions it well to capitalize on rising fuel demand. NextGen's focus is on solar and wind energy and also places it in a solid position to capitalize on the increasing demand for renewable energy solutions, especially as global and local markets alike continue to shift towards sustainable power sources. It also features a diverse portfolio of projects across various stages of development, which can further enhance its growth potential. However, the successful execution of its pipeline projects will be necessary for realizing the company's potential. Also, Oceana Gold, a subsidiary of Oceana Gold Corporation, is one of the companies that operates the significant gold copper producing the Dipio mine in the Philippines. Despite successfully resuming operations after a 2-year suspension, OGP continues to face challenges regarding to regulatory approval and company relations, as this poses potential risks for further disruptions. However, the company continues to provide exposure to gold, an asset that remains attractive amid global uncertainty and inflationary pressures.
All right, thank you for your time this morning, Alex Yatco, equity analyst at Regina Capital Development Corporation.
Thank you so much, Rob.
We're taking a quick breather. Basis Points will be right back. Welcome back to Basis Points. Let's check on the business headlines in the major news websites. On Inquirer, San Miguel Corporation is set to take over the maintenance and operations of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport starting September 14th. San Miguel plans to implement new terminal assignments for local and foreign airlines before November 1st. They also plan to complete the construction of an off-ramp connecting NAIA Expressway to NAIA Terminal 3 by next year. On Business World, the Chamber of Automotive Manufacturers of the Philippines projects new car sales to hit the 500,000 unit mark this year. That's a new high for the industry. New vehicle sales already rose by a tenth to 265,210 units in the first 7 months of this year. And on CNBC, more than 200 digital content creators have been given special access to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Vice President Kamala Harris is collaborating with creators to target the demographic of young voters who mostly get their news on social media sites such as TikTok and Instagram. And before we go, internationally renowned chef Gordon Ramsay is finally opening a restaurant right here in the Philippines, and that's happening this month. The Gordon Ramsay Bar and Grill will be located at Newport World Resorts in Pasay City. Reservations will be open starting today, August 20th. Ramsay and Newport World Resorts Chairman Kevin Tan made this announcement after finalizing the details during a recent trip to Macau. The restaurant, which is said to be one of the biggest in the resort, can seat up to 100 guests. It's expected to showcase British classics, including Ramsay's iconic beef Wellington, grilled steaks, and fresh market seafood, as well as high-end wines and expertly crafted cocktails. And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Maiki Oreta. Stay tuned tomorrow for more news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo news channel, always on top.